The next edition of the heated Hill City rivalry takes a turn back down Lakeside Drive, where Lynchburg hopes to hold the playoff window open just a few seconds longer. It all spills over into Turner Gymnasium, where Coach Steve Lanford's Randolph squad hopes to seal their ticket to the ODAC tournament. Main characters on the main stage, Hornets and Wildcats, coming up on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Hi everybody, Evan Gates and Kevin Nestor joining you for this one. It's at the end of the ODAC slate. It feels like this game is important for so many reasons. Lynchburg needs a win and some help to get to that ODAC tournament. Randolph can seal their ticket with just a win tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, and a lot of times whenever you mention Randolph and Lynchburg in the same sentence, crosstown rival comes up a lot. That just kind of adds to the stakes of this game here tonight. Both teams fighting for that last spot in the ODAC tournament. You know, 2 games to play in the regular season. This is a big game for both squads.
So much to cover, and we're going to go to the national anthem. We'll take a quick break and then come back with stats and some info. These teams have met already this season. It's a rematch on the other side of town. We'll be right back on LHSN.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back in the Hill City. Evan Gates and Kevin Nestor take you through this contest between Lynchburg and Randolph. Let's take a look at some of the pregame stats, and not necessarily listed on this chart is 11 steals per game for Randolph. It's such a feisty defense, a 2-3 zone. They'll play the entire game. They're looking to rough things up tonight. Yeah,
and these are 2 squads that play completely polar opposite. Lynchburg focuses a lot of their attention, a lot of their energy on offense, getting shooters open, getting good looks at buckets, whereas Randolph on the other side of the floor focuses their energy and attention on defense. They go for steals. They play very physical basketball, but they play it clean. It's going to be a very physical game from the Randolph defense. It's going to be fun to see how Lynchburg kind of counters that.
Well, we mentioned that these 2 teams have met already this season. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights from that game, but you understand it is 2 teams that love to shoot the 3 ball. They like to play physically, and you see in some of these clips, it was a very wild game to get things started. A lot of turnovers on both ends, and ultimately Lynchburg, after going up early in that first quarter, really struggled in the second. Randolph went up, and after having a double-digit lead on their end, it was a tight 3-point finish. But Kevin, what do you think Lynchburg has to do today to have a different result?
I think you saw it a lot in the first half. Both teams kind of playing a little bit sloppy. They did a really good job at halftime. Both squads did cleaning that up a little bit. And then it was just a game of runs. I think for Lynchburg, if they can hold on to the momentum here in Turner, be able to capitalize on some of the better looks, kind of slow down and kind of avoid the defensive pressure that Randolph's going to apply, this game can fare a lot differently here inside of Turner.
Well, you saw on your screen, Kylie Stark led all scorers with 19 points. She is Randolph's player to watch in today's contest, the point guard for the Cats, and she is so dominant in her finish 5th season with Randolph, 3 All-ODAC selections, whereas on Lynchburg's side, you know, they have a lot of versatility as well. But it's a veteran group for Randolph, as you see on your screen. Tanaya Crenshaw-Patterson, someone else who has picked up some all-conference considerations. It feels like this team is poised to make a postseason run, but Lynchburg wants a final breath. Olivia Harris just scored 1,000 points at EMU. She wants her career to keep on going past the regular season. Can Lynchburg seize the moment is the question. They're in the home whites, and we're underway from Turner Gymnasium. Kaysen back to the other side. Here is Olivia Harris, who needs just 1 point to crack the program's top 10 list for scoring. Won't happen on this possession. Tie up under the bucket between Simone Brown and Brooke Kaysen, and the Cats take possession.
And immediately on that first possession, you see how quickly Randolph's moving, the switches that they're having inside of that zone to kind of get, you know, their man guarded, force those passes out. Littlejohn had a really good look there, wasn't able to come down with the shot or the offensive rebound, but you're going to kind of see that matchup play as this game continues to go.
Well, let's discuss this, because zone offense is so different than just going one-on-one with your man. Lynchburg is a three-point shooting team, and Randolph constantly guards the perimeter. What other options are there for the Hornets today?
It's going to be very tough because a lot of their game plan is kind of settling down, waiting until the shooter gets open before, you know, whether it's facilitating or driving or whatever it is. And Randolph is going to force them to kind of quicken their pace up, move that momentum up, and that's something that we haven't, you know, seen Lynchburg be successful at a lot this season, but it's something that I'm sure they practice and they've got a game plan ready to go. Randolph
is a team that forces so many turnovers, forced 23 against Guilford in a big-time win last time out, a win that ultimately has them in a dominant position for the ODAC tournament. Olivia Harris strikes the straightaway three-pointer to put her 10th all-time on the Lynchburg program scoring list. So impressive. The senior out of Salem, Virginia, Glenver High School. Didn't even start a game last season, but she has come back and been really the main contributor when this team has needed her most. Now on the other side, some reversals. Here is Kylie Stark. Goes up and around Spainhour off the mark. And somehow the Wildcats corral the offensive board. Outside, Simone Brown wants to fire from three. No good.
And early on, you're seeing both teams come out defensively and play very physical. The refs let them get away with it. I think this is going to be one of those type of games. You see Littlejohn up and in to give Lynchburg a 6-0 lead here early.
Don't worry about it. Kate Littlejohn explodes for the second three of the game for Lynchburg. A great sign to start this one off. This is a Randolph squad that will shoot the three-pointer. Simone Brown might not be the main candidate who went up last possession. She gets it down low this time around Kayla Sledge. Up and in for the Wildcats. In that first contest against Lynchburg, Simone Brown hit a three that ignited the Mickles Athletic Center. Now we're going to see what Lynchburg can do on the other side. Kaysen surveys, great look inside. Catch and release downstairs, and another bucket and a high percentage look for Lynchburg.
And Littlejohn, you've seen it, she shot a three on the first one. That one came up short. She knocked down the next possession, and then inside there, her off-ball movement is setting her up for some really great looks.
Crenshaw Patterson cleans the glass up and in for three. Back to a one-possession game, and a very high pace being played with this press from Randolph's side. Kayla Sledge inserts to Spainhour, runs in all sorts of traffic, but the Wildcats will be called with the personal.
And there's some of that physicality, and that's why they can almost get away with it. Three Wildcats at the ball, swarming, reaching for it, going up for blocks, and a lot of times it's clean. Even if there is contact, the ref can't see it when you got three people going for it.
It's a great look to do it by committee, and in zone defense, that's what you have to do. It's all about swarming every part of the court. But Bree Spainhour fortunate to get to the free throw line. Misses the first, but Lynchburg has had success in recent history, shooting 77% from the charity stripe in the last 4 games.
And as the seasons continue to go on, it seems like all of their shooting percentages have went up. You know, we talk about how, you know, their three-point shooting is kind of down from a year ago, and that's the type of team they are. Well, it's went up, you know, fairly highly in the last 5 or 6 games.
Maybe that's a product of playing at home as well. We mentioned with Randolph playing at the Michaels Center fairly frequently. They had 3 games at home, a 3-game losing streak, but against very dominant competition. Lynchburg has 6 of their final 9 regular season games inside Turner Gymnasium as Jackson fires, misses the rim. but maybe a second chance. Stark has to hoist from three-point land, no good. TCP, the offensive rebound, still can't corral anybody's ball. Brooke Kaysen says, it's mine now.
And Lynchburg played such great defense on that possession just to not grab a rebound, right?
The hustle sometimes doesn't result in the final scenario, but Lynchburg able to get it their way. One and done on the offensive end. Stark looking to re-energize this offense. Maddie Pabone, such a strong three-point shooter. Pabone this season, number 20 in black, has 41 of her 47 field goal makes from three-point range as Jackson is caught for the travel.
And Lynchburg almost taking a page out of Randolph's playbook with their defensive movement, their physicality. They've been very, very dominant so far on the defensive end, forcing bad looks, forcing turnovers. If they can grab some of these rebounds, Lynchburg has a real shot to go on a run.
If you're Lynchburg, you most certainly want to keep shooting the three ball as well. Something that Coach Steve Landfer for Randolph mentioned is that you have to defend the perimeter at a high rate. Every coach against Lynchburg will say it as Spainauer gets a wide open look down under the rim. And the Hornets once again off to the track race. Wildcats on the other end. They've trailed Lynchburg in the first quarter before. Did it in the first matchup and had a golden second 10 minutes, as it looks like Kate Littlejohn will be caught for the personal. Randolph takes it out with 5:30 to play. You just saw Audra Petty and Ashley Vandergriff step in for Lynchburg. One change to the starting lineup today for the Hornets. Coach Nichols goes with Kayla Sledge, who already went to the bench, but added physicality down low as Stark's three's off the mark. It's headed Lynchburg's way.
And for Lynchburg, almost a polar opposite of the way they started at Randolph. You know, they came out there as very sloppy. A couple of early turnovers kind of didn't get their way early, but now out here they're playing with quickness, they're playing with pace, and they're doing it under control, getting really good looks, knocking them down. And then, you know, I mentioned the quickness and the physicality on defense.
Well, it helps when you've seen the zone defense before, especially once in the season, as this pass goes awry and Randolph takes over. Another turnover on the Hornets. But it does feel like in this situation, you know your season is absolutely done if you can't get this win. The final game of the slate in the regular season for Lynchburg is against Mary Washington. So Lynchburg will have to get a win and hope that Randolph loses to Virginia Wesleyan to go to a tiebreaker situation. As Stark pulls up with the mid-range off the mark, Simone Brown tips the offensive board to herself. Can't connect on the second opportunity. Olivia Harris, so shifty from the corners. Out top to Kaysen, knocks it home. Third three of the first quarter for Lynchburg, and Coach Landford doesn't like it. The Hornets up 9 in their home gym as we head to the media timeout. How about the pass from Harris, the connection from Kaysen? Hornets up early.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Welcome back in Turner Gymnasium. We're going to take a look at some of the stats from the first matchup between Lynchburg and Randolph. So far in this contest, Kylie Stark, really the main contributor for Randolph, 0 for 4 to get this one started. But you see the last game versus Guilford, 27 points in that affair. Such a big result for the Cats to get a win at home against one of the better teams in the conference, 63-55. And Kevin, when they needed it the most, they showed up in the big moment.
Yeah, and for Lynchburg, you can't expect Stark to have this type of game. She's 0 for 4 here to start, but you saw what she did, what she's capable of doing. She can get hot quick, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of that here in Turner.
That matchup was last time out for Randolph, not the first matchup against Lynchburg. As the offensive board goes to the Cats, they're starting to really create a theme with that as Amani Harden claimed it for Randolph. Stark outside of Pabone. Few dribbles outside. Now Crenshaw Patterson penetrates from the wing up and off the mark, and Vandergrift rebounds. True transition today for Coach Nichols' squad, maybe a point of emphasis as Spainauer kicks out to Kaysen. Once again searching. Now the insertion, Audra Petty, who finds the right hand, can't connect.
And I think on that possession, Kaysen, obviously you love to see her looking for the pass, but she's such a good shooter. You almost want to see her take that. She's already knocked one down. Why not go for another one?
Well, the same thing happened the first time. It was a little pump fake before taking the shot. Maybe a little instilled confidence. Brooke Kaysen has struggled from three-point land this season as this one clips the iron and out. Kaysen shot 33% from three-point range last year, down a whole 10 percentage points as Crenshaw Patterson is fouled in transit. She'll head to the line for two.
Number 25, Spainauer, her first team second.
Some substitutions on either side as you see the contact by the Hornets. Macy Mullins will take her first minutes of the contest for Lynchburg. Lexana Ogue will come in for Randolph. Kevin, you can decorate a lot of the statistics, but there's really no reframing this. Randolph is a team that struggles from the free throw line, shooting just over 60% this season and just two shooters over 70, but that can be a big swing if they can take these shots and make them against Lynchburg.
Right, especially in a game, as close as we expect this one to be.
Every little difference matters, and maybe that's why it was such a tough defeat when Lynchburg lost by 3 points earlier in the year. Here's Harden from beyond the perimeter, knocks it in. Cash from number 15 made it look easy, and now it's just a 5-point ball game in this first quarter. Mullins looking for the reversal. Olivia Harris passes downstairs. Sledge travels before the pass outside, and Randolph takes over. Kate Littlejohn steps back in for Olivia Harris. Here's another look at the Harden three and transition too. A brilliant way to really have the give and go to TCP in the corner. Outside for Stark. Great pass, but it was deflected by Sledge. Opportunity off the mark. Crenshaw Patterson just out hustling everybody on this Lynchburg side. It was a brilliant thought from Randolph, but poor execution. Harden again, straightaway jumper, no good. Rebounded by Petty. Has company, and Stark with the interception, and the foul's not called in the other end. Audra Petty looked like she just tried to stop the possession. Doesn't matter. It's a one-possession ball game. Vandergrift looking to Petty. Lightning quick pace, and Littlejohn sinks the jumper. The point guard when you need her most.
She has been so crucial all year in those type of moments, and we knew when she came over from Roanoke that's what she could bring. Took her a little bit to get going in the early slate of this season, but she has added such a spark to this squad.
Definitely not the primary position. Came over from Roanoke where she was really a two guard, and she is truly a shooter. You're starting to see these numbers jump at this stage of the season, but it feels like now, with how many ball handlers Lynchburg is starting to find, she's really getting in a rhythm.
Right. And I think the biggest thing for Lynchburg, they needed someone who could kind of control that tempo. They lost a lot of their primary ball handlers, as you mentioned, and you're kind of seeing it here. When Littlejohn was out of the game, they kind of, Randolph went on a little bit of a run, getting some steals, transition points, and good looks. You just needed someone who could kind of get that spark as she draws an offensive foul down here on this end.
Doing a little bit of everything on Lynchburg's side. The Hornets will take over with 1:10 to go in this first quarter. We mentioned so many different stat categories, and Lynchburg obviously electing to play a little bit quicker today, but -5 in the rebounding category against opponents, and that's such a difficult margin to overcome when you're trying to build rhythm and build tempo. We'll see if that has any role today as Vandergrift rattles home another three-pointer, 5 on the day for the Hornets.
And I think that possession right there explains Coach Nichols' decision to start Kayla Sledge. She fought through contact down low, was able to grab the offensive rebound and dish it out to a shooter who we know can knock down that shot, and did.
Well, 2 players on this Randolph squad are averaging around 7 rebounds per game. You need a little extra physicality outside, and Kayla Sledge, somebody who played lacrosse in high school, she's really played through a little bit of everything and has had a heightened impact so far. Vandergrift connecting with Littlejohn, off to the races, can't connect on the layup. Everything but the bucket. Now Randolph can try and use this one final possession of the first quarter. Harden surveying out top. It's a 9-point ball game. Randolph wants to cut into the deficit. Shifty move going up and off the mark, but the Wildcats still trying to find the rhythm early. Lynchburg came out and took the first blow. 9-point lead inside Turner Gymnasium. We'll be back on the other side to discuss the first 10 minutes.
Living the dream. USA, Mexico. That was so exciting.
Welcome back in the Hill City. If you're a fan of either squad in this contest, you're enjoying some hoops in Lynchburg. And Olivia Harris, someone who has been enjoying her basketball in recent history, scored her 1,000th point versus EMU, and that also just so happened to make her the leader in program history for made three-pointers. She's already joined the top 10 career points list for Lynchburg with her first point today. Kevin, just such a privilege to be able to watch her suit up in a Lynchburg uniform.
Yeah, and just see her role expand over her tenure here at Lynchburg. We mentioned it, you know, from last year to this year alone, the jump that she kind of had to take, not only on the court, but in a leadership standpoint, and she's just executed that so well.
Feels like Lynchburg needed someone like that this season, losing 2 of their starters from last year's campaign. So many players have stepped up in, as you see, even with Harris on the bench right now, the Hornets have a slew of options as Casey Kelly enters the contest and immediately heading to the free throw line for 2. Casey Kelly, you can also find her on Lynchburg's track and field team, a national qualifier in the triple jump. She is a previous All-American as well. And so at the conclusion of this basketball season of a few weeks, you're going to see some of that athleticism as she couldn't connect on the second opportunity. Randolph shooting 19% in the first quarter, 4 of 21 from the field. Whereas Lynchburg shooting 46%, 5 of 8 from three-point range, but Randolph strikes first here in the second frame. Renee Kleins knocked home the jumper. She's gone to 3 other schools before Randolph. Lurleen Wallace Community College, Santa Fe, and also Virginia University of Lynchburg, as Macy Mullins, the Gate City graduate, knocks it home.
That was a really good possession. It looked like it was going to be a dead possession. Spainhour kind of trapped right there on the elbow, was able to find a wide open Macy Mullins, who knocks down a 3.
The Hornets are shooting the lights out in Turner Gymnasium right now, 6 of 9, and a great quarterback pass. Kaysen off the mark. Brilliant blueprint, but the final column wasn't sturdy enough. Other end, Randolph using a big swing. The freshman from Richmond Hill knocks it in, and an 8-point ball game once again. High post to Spainhour, down low to Kelly, who travels. And we're heading the other way.
In Lynchburg, an empty possession there, but you're kind of seeing the vision. We talked about their shooting numbers. That's credit to their ball movement, right? They've been finding the open cutter, finding the open shooter, and just letting them knock it down. And they've done a really good job of that throughout the first 12 minutes.
We'll see what the Hornets can do to keep their foot on the gas pedal. We've seen that a few times this year. They've never won a game when trailing at the half, so a good sign so far to have the advantage. Want to keep it going as Crenshaw Patterson searching for options in the paint. Stark thought about the heat check. Now behind the back. Great move. Still no separation. Randolph's got to hurry. 1 on the shot clock. They're not going to get it. An early exclamation mark on the Hornets' defensive side.
We talked about it a lot in the first quarter, but again, another physical, another effort-led possession by the Hornets on the defensive end that leads to another Randolph turnover, and that's kind of what the Hornets are looking for coming into this game.
Well, Kevin, there's some coaches out there in the basketball world that will say that type of possession on defense makes you more proud than a made three-pointer or a big-time play on offense. It just feels like Lynchburg hasn't gotten a lot of those this season, but the hustle is there tonight in Turner.
It juices everybody up. Everybody, the 5 players on the court, everyone on the bench, everyone in the gym, really. Just whenever you see such good basketball being played by the home team on the defensive end, it's momentum creating. That's really what it is.
You gotta love it when you get it. Hornets now under the bucket. Pass right out to Harris. Great fake mid-range jumper off the front iron. Here comes Kylie Stark. Still searching for a way to get this Randolph offense up and operating. Just 2 points for number 12 thus far, but she'll change it with the mid-range. We've already gone up and down her resume. She's so impressive, number 12 in black. 4th most points per game in the ODAC this season, a 3-time All-ODAC selection. She and Tania Crenshaw Patterson have been former ODAC Rookies of the Year as Kaysen's shots off the mark. Spainhour tries to rattle home a second. And Tania Jackson gathers the rebound, fouled on the way down.
When you talk about Kylie Stark, what makes her stand out from the rest? I think it's how flashy she is, right? Whenever you're guarding her, you never know what's going to come. Is she going to try to get by you to get to the hoop? Is she going to hit a step-back three? Is she going to spin move off of you? You never know. It makes it so tough to defend a player like that. And Randolph, they really lean on her to kind of get this offensive spark going.
It's really turning into a signature spin move because she uses it so often, but she's so crafty and deceptive. This time, the three-pointer, no good. Rebounded by Spainhour. Anytime you have a player who is suited up in the same uniform for 5 years, you know that there is consistency there and there is trust from the coaching staff. Foul this time is on Tania Jackson. And Olivia Harris heads to the line for Lynchburg. Her percentages have really heightened, shooting 76% from the charity stripe, matching last year's total, and the first shot's up and in. If you're a youngin out there watching this game and you want to know how to get to 1,000 points, free throw shooting can be a very big way to get there because it is one of those fundamentals so important to have the little things done and ready for the college game.
Right, especially when you just have an aggressive nature. You know you're going to go to the line a lot. Why not be able to capitalize on it?
Got to enjoy the opportunities when you get them. That's Crenshaw Patterson, a brilliant fake to go up and off the glass. Spainhour bites, Crenshaw Patterson slots it home. Back to a 6-point game. Little movement from this Hornets offense. This time though, Petty ready to launch inside. Another three-pointer, the 7th of the day, a touchdown, and the Hornets get it back.
That inbound pass was directly to Olivia Harris.
Can the Hornets have a big swing? Spainhour. Outside, Littlejohn, oh, she's ready, and looks confident, up and in. The Hornets, a big-time 6-point swing to extend the lead back to double digits here in the second quarter. We're going to take a quick break in the Hill City, but the Hornets alive and humming in Turner.
Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals. We've got one professor for every 10 students, so you can get all the support you need. In the classroom, in the lab, or in nature, you'll learn by putting yourself out there, and we're right there with you.
Got a little bit of Stevie Wonder in the house on a fantastic evening in the Hill City. Lynchburg's up a dozen early in this contest. 5:35 to play in the second quarter, and Lynchburg using their three-point shooting to their advantage. 8 of 12 from beyond the perimeter so far, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think for them, it's just been kind of a gift. Randolph, we talked about their defensive intensity or defensive effort. Their last two possessions, Lynchburg didn't really do a lot with the ball, not a lot of off-ball movement. The Wildcats just didn't rotate, and the shooters were wide open and were able to knock down 2 big threes.
When we say a gift, it was as close to Christmas morning as you're going to get, because Olivia Harris wasn't even really defending the inbounds pass and still collected where Lynchburg could slot home another three-pointer. And another gift from the Wildcats as the Hornets take possession off the travel. Olivia Harris, newly anointed into the 1,000-point club, will try and direct this offense. Gets this screen from Sledge, ready for another three-pointer off the glass and out. Here comes Kylie Stark. Pass outside to Jackson, the South Pole, ready to go, no good. Petty couldn't quite corral it. Wildcats just want some pace. This time, Kleins from the corner sinks it. Number 2 in black, the senior from Lake City, Florida, gets a big-time jumper, and the Weeds back in single digits.
And we talk about Lynchburg's ability to shoot the three ball, and you mentioned it earlier, you cannot sleep on the Wildcats from outside the yard.
Few teams will match the three-point attempts from Lynchburg, and Randolph is certainly in the zip code. A team that can play small and they can play quick, but also possessing the size down low. Maybe a reason why they are currently occupying that 8th spot in the ODAC tournament. Just a win today would put them in for good. Lynchburg wants to extend that process to Saturday, where Randolph would have to beat Virginia Wesleyan. Oh, wow. Kylie Stark, veteran move, dominant finish, and a chance to add one from the free throw line.
And she pulled that one out of her bag of tricks. I mean, you'll see it right here. Olivia Harris just wasn't ready for the blow-by.
And Harris is one of those defenders for Lynchburg's team who is so quick laterally. She can normally keep the attacker in front of her. Not this time, as Stark heads to the free throw line. And Kevin, you don't want anybody to go to the stripe from the opponent's team, but Kylie Stark led Division III last year from the free throw line. She shot 92% from the free throw line.
And when we say she's dangerous from the floor, we mean everywhere on the floor.
It's what the great players do, and she has certainly been one of the main characters on this Randolph squad as Olivia Harris passes outside. Petty, the freshman, ready to go. A little too heavy, and a jump ball as it comes crashing down. Randolph takes over with 3:55 in the second frame. Lots of hustle from both squads. We mentioned early that the rebounding battle has really been even, but the Wildcats have had that advantage in the offensive rebounding department, and it has served them well, getting a lot of second chance points.
And here in the second quarter, we talked about, I think they were shooting 4 for 21 at the end of the first. They've really upped that just with better looks and being able to convert on some of these offensive possessions when they're getting those second chance opportunities.
They couldn't connect this time, but it will stay with the Wildcats. failing to convert in so many situations. 3 of 12 from beyond the perimeter. Randolph shot just 19% in the first quarter. Substitutions enter the contest. A quick entry to Crenshaw Patterson, who tries to direct the offense. Stark has isolation. Now outside to Gill. Up and almost dead. Off the glass. 2 shots incoming for the Wildcats. Sledge called with the personal, just her first, as we know she got the start today. To add a little physicality down low. Casey Kelly will be a replacement for Lynchburg.
And we talked about Stark's quickness, but really that could apply to the entire Randolph team. You saw it again there. Just being able to blow by a defender, get into the paint, get a look, and draw a foul.
Certainly options. And Raven Gill at the line, the 5'5" sophomore from Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Someone else who has gotten a start for the Wildcats this season. Get this, Kevin, it is late in the year. We don't necessarily want to skew this statistic, but 21 different players in this game have started a contest this year for their respective squads.
And that's a tribute to both squads' depth.
Up and down the bench, up and down the floor, Bree Spainauer adds 2 to the tally. 2 teams that certainly like to have consistency in their lineups, and they have found it late in the year. Coach Nichols for Lynchburg, Coach Steve Landfer for Randolph. But definitely a period of experimentation, as this time the deflection goes off the Wildcats. Lynchburg takes over.
I think we've seen from Lynchburg, a lot more this season than others, their ability to kind of add a spark from the bench. Whenever you talk about players coming in and out for substitutions throughout the game, you really can't take a breath at whoever comes in, because it's either a 3-point shooter or a defensive anchor or a slasher or a passer. Lynchburg, they have a lot of talent that's very, very young.
They have it up and down the bench. Olivia Harris, someone who's talented, the senior, gets another to fall. And she has been so clinical for this Lynchburg team. Simone Brown anchored down low, passes outside to Stark. Really nothing doing from this Randolph squad. Oh, wow. Backcourt violation. Frustration for all the Wildcats.
I'm not one to harp on officials, right? And throughout my playing days, maybe, but up here in the broadcast, I usually try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but that one was a little bit iffy. Not only do I think was she not backcourt, but I think that pass was tipped as well.
Definitely a deflection from Harris, and that one's tough. Lynchburg will take advantage. We'll see if the Hornets have any way to capitalize. They do. Bree Spainauer goes right around. A trademark move late in this season. And the Hornets now lead by 11. Stark, brilliant pass to Crenshaw Patterson. Had all night and day, but it's off the mark. And the Hornets, once again, maybe adding a little extra pace. Here's Kate Littlejohn. A set play from Coach Nichols on the sideline. Spainauer. Pass outside to Harris, she's open, and once again it falls. 9th three-pointer of the day for the Hornets. They might be flirting with records if they hold on to this pace in the second half. Renee Klein's back outside. Stark will have the call on Littlejohn. Looked like she extended that arm a little bit, but Kate Littlejohn, too much contact, and she is called for the personal. Macy Mullins re-enters the contest for Lynchburg, and quickly Maddie Pabone steps off the bench, and she will replace Kleins.
For Lynchburg, we talked about how hot they are shooting the ball right now. I think the only thing that can kind of slow them down is what you just saw, those little kind of monotonous fouls that are going to get you into a little bit of trouble. Maybe, you're seeing Littlejohn on the bench now. She's got 2 here in the first half. You don't want to see that, especially when you've got players playing so good.
A lot of the times it happens in those isolation scenarios as well, where the Hornets are really just beat on defense. Kaysen thought about it, and it's ripped away from Crenshaw Patterson. The airway is open. Can Harris get there? Oh, she swatted it. Echoing through Turner Gymnasium, the seniors doing a little bit of everything, and the hustle to get back. Oh, they're going to call this one a foul. We thought that it was clean for a second, but Crenshaw Patterson's heading to the stripe for 2.
Again, I don't want to criticize refs, but I still think that one was clean.
Well, it was so loud in Turner we didn't even hear the whistle blow.
It was such a great play, and it's just kind of been indicative of the first half, the hustle that Lynchburg came out with.
TCP makes 1 of 2, and 45 ticks remain in the second quarter. But how about Olivia Harris? You gotta love it if you're a Lynchburg fan. Something that has maybe been missing from the equation this year has been that extra oomph of energy. But they have found it in this first half, putting up 40 so far and up a baker's dozen against the crosstown rivals. Casey Kelly passes it, but it's denied by Stark. Nothing doing yet. Here comes Gill. Floater over the top, rattles out, and Casey Kelly. Dominant two-handed rebound and one final possession for Coach Nichols' squad. Can they add a period to the end of the sentence? Text falling off. Kaysen from the corner. Does she beat the buzzer? Around and out. But 20 minutes of quality basketball from this Lynchburg team. They need a win tonight to keep their playoff chances alive. And all around this roster, they're finding contributions so far. Evan and Kevin rocking with you in Turner Gymnasium. We'll be back for some halftime stats and analysis here in this Hill City rivalry.
My name is Alexis Fabula. I major in criminology and I double minor in psychology and criminal forensics. My favorite part about Lynchburg is the friends that I've come to have. It's helped me come out of my shell more, and it's helped me become the person I am and the student I am. I really enjoyed how small the campus was, and I also really enjoy how small the class sizes are. It made me feel like I was going to be more engaged than I would at a bigger campus. If someone was on the fence of coming to the University of Lynchburg, I would definitely love to sit down and have a conversation with them because I'm forever grateful that I made this choice. It's definitely something that a student wouldn't regret. Out of my 4 years here, I've not had one bad experience. I've had a great 4 years, and I'm going to be very sad to go.
Want to have some outdoor adventures while getting a degree at the same time? At the University of Lynchburg, we have an on-campus zip line and ropes course. Plus, we offer adventure trips that cost less than a cup of coffee. And did I mention our beautiful scenery? We're a university for students looking for something more than just books. Welcome to your new adventure experience.
Tim Slusser from the Outdoor Leadership Program gave a presentation at a Teaching and Learning Resources Conference here about getting his program more involved on the academic side of campus. I mentioned computers and mapping, and he mentioned caving, and eventually we came up with the idea of mapping caves.
So the week before we were able to learn how to use the instruments kind of like on a flat surface and just kind of get a hang of how they work. But it was really amazing how once we got in the cave, it was a completely different experience using them.
It was unique. It got most of us out of our comfort zone, kind of gave us a new experience, a new taste of something new. But I think the most difficult parts were getting the lighting right. You had to read the instruments with the headlamps while keeping your eye pointed on the plot point.
This allowed them to actually literally get their hands dirty collecting data, conducting measurements, and putting all that together in the form of a map, and doing it in a place that's never been mapped before.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. "100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it."
When creating a sustainable future, your choices matter, even your choice of a college. The University of Lynchburg is the first college in Virginia to go carbon neutral. Our dining hall is Green Restaurant certified. We compost all of our food waste and purchase our electricity from landfill gas. Now we're turning a hazardous lake into a thriving urban wetland. When you choose Lynchburg, you leave a smaller footprint while building a better tomorrow.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities, learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the Athletic Training Laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic and Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win situation. You learn, and that helps us win.
was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Well, Kevin, the first quarter between Lynchburg and Randolph played out very similarly on the road and here in Turner Gymnasium. The lone difference, the second. Lynchburg finds themselves up a baker's dozen right now in the Hill City, whereas that first contest versus Randolph earlier this year really struggled. Just 4 points in that second frame, and the Hornets still have that energy going into halftime.
Yeah, and you bring it out, maybe a little bit of home court momentum. I was going to say hometown, but both squads being in Lynchburg. Now the Hornets, they've just come out firing on all cylinders. They're executing everything well. Transition offense, knocking down buckets, set offense, as we saw that late in the second quarter. They've just been so disciplined on the offensive end of the ball, outside of some turnovers. But that's kind of expected when you play a team with the type of defensive energy that Randolph brings. But, man, the Hornets, they've been on fire, and it's going to be very fun to see if they can keep that pace rolling here in the second half.
Well, look at the halftime stats, and you will see that the Hornets have really been shooting proficiently, especially from three-point range. 9 of 16 in that first half, something that they haven't necessarily had throughout the season. If you remember, the Hornets made 12 three-pointers in their last contest out versus EMU, and they still didn't get the victory. The first time this season that they have made double-digit threes and not won the game. They're hoping that narrative stays true and that they can get the victory today. But what else have you seen from Lynchburg that has been an X factor in this contest?
It seems like they've stole Randolph's defensive playbook. Not necessarily running the same sets, but just the energy, the pace, the quickness, the physicality on that end of the court. The Hornets have really kind of dominated down there. It's been really fun to watch. The only thing that kind of has hindered them so far in the first half was the offensive rebounding that Randolph was able to kind of dominate. They dominated that category 8-4, doubled what Lynchburg did, and it just kind of, that kept Randolph around. It kind of gave them those second, third, fourth chance looks at times, and they were able to knock down some of them to kind of keep it a close ball game. But if Lynchburg keeps that defensive intensity and is able to grab some of those rebounds, I wouldn't be surprised if this lead gets extended even further.
Well, the Hornets have gotten very lucky on that end as well, because although Randolph is leading in that category, they have just 4 second chance points, and Lynchburg has 6, and so they're still finding that advantage. Definitely a lot to be optimistic about if you're a Lynchburg fan thus far. And we're going to go ahead and look at the ODAC standings. Going into this game, today really matters. It's a Tuesday full of ODAC action, and you see it on your screen. The top 8 make the tournament. The 9th and 10th seeds are done at the end of the regular season. So Lynchburg needs a win today, and they need Randolph to lose against Virginia Wesleyan, even to generate that tiebreaker. But it feels like that energy has been there, and that sense of urgency has been present.
Yeah, and it's just, you look at that, and it kind of makes you think, well, they're just playing for the now. And as a broadcaster, that's not what you want to hear, because we want to talk about these season-long trends and all the stats that we have in front of us. But they're one game at a time. We talked about it about a week ago when they were inside of Turner. You play for the short season, which is the end of the season. Well, now you got one conference game left if you're Lynchburg. This is it. It's win or go home. And even if you do win, you still got to hope for a little bit of help. But there's still a window. And as my favorite quarterback of all time, Aaron Rodgers, once said, man, if we're not mathematically eliminated, we're going to play our hearts out. And Lynchburg's kind of embodied that here today.
Absolutely, and you know that Lynchburg is playing a game at the time because they have Coach Nichols at the helm. I don't think that she would expect anything else at this stage, and though the Hornets don't necessarily have the record they expected this year, they have been able to really bring it back when it matters. Kylie Stark missed a layup, uncharacteristic. And the Hornets once again gifted. Can they take advantage on the other end? Spainhour thought about the short corner shot. Now outside to Harris. Jump stop, slots it down low. Oh, wow, denied by TCP. Maybe a third chance. Littlejohn swishes the first jumper home. Another three-pointer, and Lynchburg's in double digits now.
And Littlejohn has been so impressive on the offensive end. We talked about her getting into a little bit of foul trouble there late in the second, but the spark that she's brought whenever she's been in the game and she's come off the bench, just it seems like she's knocking down a three as soon as she touches the floor.
Well, Kevin, some news from the academia side of things. Lynchburg is going to have a virtual day tomorrow due to some of the snowstorms, and I think the storm arrived early because Lynchburg's put every single jumper in a flurry of buckets here in the first 21 minutes. It just feels like everything that goes up is going in.
And as a fan of, the Hornets, everybody that's inside of Turner, you're not going to complain. On the other end, if you're Randolph, you're like, man, we're a game away from the ODAC playoffs. This is not the team that we wanted to face, but you had to game plan for it because at any point in time, this Lynchburg team, they can get hot and they can be very, very dangerous for any team in the ODAC.
The good news if you're Randolph is that you have this full court press and it can really generate points in a hurry, as we almost see the Wildcats get away with one now. Instead, Spainhour under the bucket, trying to take space, goes outside. Another connection, brilliant passing from the Hornets. Harris wants the offensive board. She gets it, but not without traffic. Oh, what a pass to the corner. Littlejohn laces it home.
Wow.
Cookie jar material down low, and Olivia Harris rifling and stifling.
I don't know what was better, the pass or the fact that Littlejohn is up to what, 4 or 5 threes now?
Everything that goes up is going in. We're going to keep extending the narrative. Littlejohn had a plus 21 advantage in that first half, but Renee Kleins takes our conversation and splits it early. Wildcats just need to stay in the zip code. We know they're a team that can score in a hurry, but a brilliant pass again. Kaysen connects down low to Spainhour.
And Randolph, they're doing a really good job applying that pressure, getting into the paint on defense early, but then it seems like they're kind of collapsing and leaving it wide open.
So many looks from Lynchburg have been so pretty. Such a great illustration and maybe a result of some of that collapsing, leaving someone open as this jumper hits everything but the rim. And Littlejohn able to keep it at the right pace for the Hornets. Kate Littlejohn, 11 points, 3 of 5 from three-point range. Someone to keep your eye on as Kylie Stark wants the advantage. Great pass down low to Crenshaw Patterson. He'll head to the stripe for 2.
I think for Lynchburg, I think the heat check's going to come if we see Spainhour or Sledge try to knock down a 3. And it wouldn't surprise me with the way this team's shooting if they do.
It's truly a team where anyone and everyone is expected to take those chances. Now, granted, your bigs won't shoot as many threes as those guards that we've seen for the Hornets, but there are so many opportunities in a team setting where they have really used the perimeter to their advantage this year. I think it's expected to get as many players involved as you can.
And we come in, the preseason, the early slate of this season, talking about Lynchburg's ability to shoot the 3 ball. They've executed that so well. As you see another look at this almost no-look dish, and Littlejohn just walk in the park.
It's exactly what you want if you're a coach, and it feels like with how poorly Lynchburg has shot in some performances this year, it was bound to happen at some point. and really putting on a performance so far. Can they keep it up? Audra Petty entered the contest. Here's a cutting Spainhour who was a little too deep under the bucket. Simone Brown frustrated, but yeah, personal is called, and Spainhour will head to the line for 2.
And that's the type of offensive set that makes Lynchburg so dangerous, right? They're knocking down three-pointers. You got to be so mindful of the perimeter. And then you see one of the best slashers in the ODAC, able to get to the rim, almost converted through the physicality, but nonetheless, she's got a trip to the line, where she's been really, really solid this year.
She really gets comfortable when she gets the ball on the run. And a chance for one more. Some scores from elsewhere from the ODAC. Randolph-Macon stays undefeated in conference play. Just one loss this season. 59-47 win versus Shenandoah, so that obviously only affects the top of the table. Bridgewater gets a 30-point thrashing over Roanoke, 71-41. And then WNL went on the road to EMU in a dominant performance, winning 79-56. The only game right now in the ODAC other than this one is Ferrum and Hollins, which does affect that outside of the conference table. We know Ferrum is firmly in the tournament now, and Hollins looks to be in the exiting side.
I don't want to go from our game here, but when you talk about the ODAC tournament, dude, Bridgewater, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I know you talk about the undefeated Randolph-Macon, but Bridgewater, they have beat some quality teams this year, and they have put it on some teams that we expected those games to be close.
Well, even looking at Randolph's last few games, as Harris has the shot clock ticking down, and Kylie Stark sees the interception, trying to go down the other side, fouled and one. A strong collision under the bucket, and the grad student able to sink it. Little shaken up. Coach Lanfer very frustrated on the sideline. Obviously, you hope everything's okay for Kylie Stark, one of the premier players in the conference. Let's take another look. We've seen that a few times today. So many steals from this Randolph side, and Harris just trying to make a play. It looked like she was just trying to stop Stark from even getting the shot off.
Yeah, and you see, on the replay shows it really well. It wasn't like it was intentional or anything, just going up for the block, kind of clipped her low. Both players going for the same spot on the floor. That's bound to happen.
So wait to see what the referees say. Still meeting in a committee. See if it's just a common foul. But to extend our conversation on the conference tournament, one thing that Bridgewater does so well is they slow the game down, and they can win a game scoring just 40 or 50 points. And we've recognized, even from Randolph's last few games in which they have really kept up with their opponents, being WNL and Randolph-Macon. They had a chance to win that Randolph-Macon game. Anybody can beat anybody at this stage of the season, and that's what's so special about the ODAC.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going back to as a broadcaster. You kind of want it to be what you expect. But when these teams go out and play, you throw the stat sheets away, because they're going out one game, go win it, play however you have to play. Forget the stats. We've got a game plan for the team that's in front of us. Let's go out and execute it.
Always one game at a time. Right now, the officials reviewing the play from Olivia Harris. Obviously, knowing Olivia, you'd imagine that the intention was all ball, but Stark really collided strongly with the hardwood, and so referees swapping out. Now someone else will take a look at the monitor. Our very own Eli Schilling facilitating the process down there. We want to give a big thanks to everybody who's involved with the Lynchburg Hornet Sports Network, including you if you're watching this game. So happy for all of your support, especially in this basketball season that is slowly coming to a conclusion. Looks like they've made a decision. We'll see if they go over to tell the coaches. Really difficult to know what's going through their conversation right now. You understand it is either a common foul or it's going to be called a flagrant. It just depends on how much contact is too much.
Yeah, I think, just the replays that we saw, obviously they had a little bit better vantage point, but we've got the monitor up here that we were seeing. Like I said, I don't see how you can make this a flagrant. You just see a defensive player going for a block, and then, both players kind of landed in the same area. I think that's just one of them basketball plays that you hate to see happen, but it happens.
Well, I think that's what's elongated this conversation so much, because it did look like a pretty dangerous spill. It almost looked like Harris was getting under Kylie Stark, but at the same time, you understand momentum, and you know that's really just a play at the rim. A rim run from Stark that resulted in some strong contact, so the referees will have their respective conversations with the coaches, and maybe we can try and play charades here and see which coach is a little more pleased. I think it is going to be called a flagrant based on what we see so far, but you never know.
And I think the biggest thing to take away is you saw Kylie Stark get up off the floor. She's back in the team huddle. Doesn't look like she's going to exit the court. That's always the best sight to see after you see a spill like that.
Absolutely, and like we said, we want to protect those players, or any player for that matter, but Kylie Stark, someone who is really dominating
one of the nation's best.
That's right, and it has shown up on the stat sheet. So Kylie Stark will have flagrant free throws. And then a reminder, she was fouled on that layup. So if anything, you have to feel like this is an advantage for Coach Lanfer, because you get an entire timeout out of this. And Kylie Stark is the best free throw shooter arguably in the nation. Not having that type of season, just 78% from the stripe, but we've seen those previous marks.
It looks like they're going to make her come out of the game, maybe?
Yeah, so it looks like it might have been Coach Nichols who chose the shooter for Randolph. Renee Kleins will head to the stripe. Have to imagine this is actually Coach Lanfer's decision, because Kleins is the only other shooter on this team that's above 70% from the stripe. So with Stark hitting the bench, it might be an injury-related matter.
And as we come out of this, how about, you know, the replay assist that we finally kind of get to see overturn a call? We've seen it used a couple of times just to get a couple of better angles at some calls that we kind of knew were definitive. But there you saw, you know, really good use of the replay system that was implemented this season. And the
ODAC's always innovating. It's a great sight. Feels like we've gotten more of those on the men's side of things. We've had so many crazy contests for men's games here in Turner Gymnasium. A lot that have ultimately resulted in either buzzer beaters or last-second buckets, as Littlejohn was ready to get the rebound. And Randolph will maintain possession. So unfortunate for the Hornets, as this game has slowly became a crawl in the last few minutes. Kylie Stark is back in, so good news for Coach Lanfer's squad. And they have it underneath their bucket with 6:09 in the third. Pass goes outside. Schaefer was ready to go. Traveling violation, sends it the other way. So short-lived for Randolph. They get just a point out of that entire scenario. We do know the bucket counted from Stark, but still a 14-point lead for Lynchburg. We'll see if they can get that momentum back. Look at all the passing, no dribbling necessary. Now Vandergrift back up top. Great reversals and quick defense as well, but they forgot about the corner. Kaysen all alone, knocks it home.
And that's been kind of the story for Randolph, right? You know, maybe 10 seconds of the shot clock has been, you know, really good defensive possession, but then you just kind of lose one of those lethal shooters, and they've been knocking them down, making the Wildcats pay in that zone.
Absolutely filthy from beyond the perimeter. Another traveling violation, and the Hornets are taking over again. Tanaya Crenshaw-Patterson into the game for Schaefer. All of a sudden, the Hornets, even after a long break, are still showing a little bit of the hustle, and everything they shoot is finding nylon. Littlejohn guarded tightly by Maddie Paboon. Easily across the timeline where the Hornets can reset. You see Randolph resetting defensively. Back outside, Petty, oh, she's ready for three. This time, no good. No options for Kylie Stark in transition. She does find Kleins. Reversal to the other side. Maddie Paboon, someone who had 3 3-pointers against Lynchburg in that first half of the last contest. Elected to go with Crenshaw-Patterson for 2.
That was a really good, you know, ISO possession. Able to kind of use her size to her advantage, get the look that she wanted, and knock it down off the glass.
You can hear Coach Lanfer screaming for his defense to get back. Definitely great size from Crenshaw Patterson. And Vandergrift fouled on the mid-range. You bet. Number 14's going to the line for a chance for a three-point play. The old-fashioned way. Just a step inside, clinical offense from Lynchburg. And once again, with a comfortable lead in the third quarter. We'll be right back on LHSN.
When creating a sustainable future, your choices matter, even your choice of a college. The University of Lynchburg is the first college in Virginia to go carbon neutral. Our dining hall is green restaurant certified. We compost all of our food waste and purchase our electricity from landfill gas. Now we're turning a hazardous lake into a thriving urban wetland. When you choose Lynchburg, you leave a smaller footprint while building a better tomorrow.
The Hornets rocking and rolling in Turner Gymnasium right now with a 55-38 advantage over Randolph. And Ashley Vandergrift will be heading to the stripe for one more. Coach Lanford's squad needs just a win to move on to the ODAC tournament. But Lynchburg has brought all the firepower in this contest and really taking care of business, taking care of the ball as well, Kevin, without a turnover in this third quarter.
Yeah, and a lot of that's been attributed to the way that they've broken the press. Coach Lanford brought it pretty heavy here in the third, the last 4 or 5 possessions, but Lynchburg doing a great job of dribbling out of it, passing out of it. You mentioned, a lot of passes, no dribbles, and that's something that Lynchburg, they've been kind of killing tonight, really. Finding the open shooters in transition out of that press, and it's been clinical.
Well, you make a great point, and I think Lynchburg's turnovers haven't really been a result of that full court pressure. It feels like Randolph has just constantly had to reset that defense in the half-court setting. Stark wants a screen. She gets it. Now the pass inside. Great connection, but off the mark, and a little too much pressure down low. Spainhour back to Littlejohn. 6 Hornets with a three-pointer in this contest. Now Spainhour trying to go around. Kaysen's open. Now inside to Vandergrift. Takes a late deflection. Looks like it was off of Oak, and it'll stay Hornets basketball with 12 on the shot clock.
Lynchburg is doing a really good job of whenever the shooters aren't open, as they are right here. But when they're not open, doing a really good job of cutting to the basket and either converting or getting to the stripe.
So many versatile options for this Hornets offense. This time Kleins knew it was off the second she released, and a little bit of frustration as Lynchburg takes over again. For Coach Allison Nichols, someone who previously coached at Randolph, 2010 to 2016. She was at the helm for the Wildcats program. She comes over to Lynchburg and now in her 4th season. Kevin, she's only won this matchup twice, and it feels like the Hornets had so much dominance in the 2010s decade in this series. They won 21 straight, and now the Hornets have lost 2 straight. So it would be fantastic for Coach Nichols just to get a victory in this Hill City rivalry.
100%.
Littlejohn, great move, can't connect. Vandergrift helps her up mid-run. Here comes Harden on her back foot, keeps the pivot. Now Crenshaw Patterson, pass down low, great dish, and Oak connects.
And again, you're going to see Wildcats coming out, not as emphatic of full court pressure, but on-ball pressure.
Maybe just a little bluff, and especially with Kate Littlejohn really making anything on that side of half court, it might be a wise decision. Randolph gathers.
They actually ran a man set there and really capitalized on it.
It looked a lot smoother. I think it caught the Hornets off guard. Macy Mullins and Casey Kelly, 2 juniors that step back into the contest for Lynchburg. 2:23 to go in the third quarter. Opponents have outshot Lynchburg from three-point land in 5 of the last 7 if you're just looking strictly at percentage. And the Hornets have absolutely slammed that door shut today, shooting 56% from three-point range to Randolph's 18.
And they've definitely changed it up, the Wildcats have on the defensive end in a man set now. And again, you're just seeing the kind of pressure they're able, a foul there, a little bit too physical, but just the pressure they're able to apply to the ball. It's a lot different than whenever they were in that zone set.
Well, you got to make Lynchburg make free throws as well, because they're making everything else at least show some option. As Macy Mullins, brilliant pass to Kelly, wide open downstairs. Great play draw up by Coach Nichols. The question is, even with the man setting, if Randolph can get going, is it too late? A 17-point deficit in just under 12 minutes.
And that's kind of what I was going to hit on. They've come out and kind of changed their defensive game plan, but on the offensive end, it almost feels like they've been flat almost all game, but especially here in this third quarter.
I don't know if it's been an energy thing as much as it's been a shooting thing, because the Wildcats have struggled mightily. But it does feel like the Hornets have just been a step ahead ever since the opening tip. Now Maddie Pabon, great dribble, launches from 3. Rings true for the Cats, who make it a 14-point game, and Maddie Pabon finally on the board. The best three-point shooter on this Wildcat squad. Now isolation for Spainhour, getting heckled down low. Pass out to Littlejohn, avoiding traffic. Looks like the foul will be on the floor. It will be a shooting foul, it looks like. So Kate Littlejohn, doesn't matter, it's actually the 5th foul for Randolph. So it will be in the bonus, as you saw on your screen.
And for Randolph, you know, things could be worse, right? They're down 14 to a Hornet team that has shot the lights out of it. And when you think about it, you know, that's, what, one momentum swing for one of these teams? If they can just kind of get out of this offensive slump, start knocking down some of these shots, realistically, there is a path right back into this game.
Well, the Hornets have had contributions from all over today as well, something that definitely has made it a little bit more difficult for this Randolph squad. Right now, 9 bench points, which for a Hornets squad that relies strongly on its starting lineup, that's a pretty good number. This is a Lynchburg team that, even looking out at their last contest versus EMU, just had 5 bench points to EMU's 24. Great point of emphasis with the 3-point shot. It opens up a lot of other opportunities. And the Hornets have let it come to fruition so far, but still have a quarter to play. Kylie Stark trying to cut into the deficit. Oh, wow. Hop, step, and a jump to get to the hoop. And a chance for a 3-point play. Kylie Stark, really one of the bright points in her entire tenure at Randolph, a team that has found so much success in the last few years. Coach Lanfer just recently, the 2022-2023 season, bringing this squad to a program record 19 wins, largely in part to Stark's contributions, as Kelly lets the foot go a little too far, and it's a travel.
And again, think about it for Randolph. We talk about all of these stats and the categories that Lynchburg's really dominated all game in. Randolph's only down 12. There's a chance that, again, if they get hot and Stark starts to fire and kind of get some help from her supporting cast, there's a path back into this for the Hornets. You just got to stay with the flow of the game, rely on what you've been doing all game, and it's been working so far.
Well, and not that the Wildcats are over there on their laptops looking at the stat sheets, but there have been a few quarters in recent memory where Lynchburg has scored 4 or 5 or 6 points at a quarter. So by no means, like you said, are the Wildcats out of this contest. Randolph is definitely not out of the ODAC tournament if they lose this game, can still beat Virginia Wesleyan and seal their spot. Lynchburg will need a little bit of help, so the win today would just be the first step. They've crossed out the tic-tac-toe board so far. 3 quarters have been dominated by the Hornets in the hometown whites, but can they play 10 more minutes?
It feels like whenever we start talking about these postseason discussions and what a team has to do to get in, we almost have more enjoyment than we do calling the game, right? Just kind of putting the pieces together. We kind of get more surgical on that than we do maybe our classwork at times.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's always great to speculate, and so many great teams in the ODAC, one of the best basketball conferences in Division III. TCP's got to go, looking for an option. Clock winding down. Harden, can she get the shot off? She does. It rattles in. Is that going to be the injection that Randolph needs to step right back into this contest? They are continuing to execute, and though she's just 5'1", she's shifty and speedy. Amani Harden getting to the hoop. Back in the Hill City, Lynchburg leads Randolph 60-48. A dominant display so far, and continuing to elevate with Olivia Harris and Kate Littlejohn both in double figures. 9 3-pointers on the day for Lynchburg, and we'll take a look at our back pocket stat of the game. The last 2 home games for the Hornets, they've had their highest scoring performances of the season. 73 versus Averett, 72 versus Virginia Wesleyan. Granted, 2 opponents that are in the bottom part of the conference. This Randolph team currently sits in the ODAC tournament, but Lynchburg on pace to match those numbers with 60 points through 3. Early disruption, but Randolph can take over with a 12-point deficit to overcome. They've done it before. In fact, they've done it against Lynchburg, who was up double digits in that first contest. But can they do it again? Harden, step back for 3 off the iron. We've heard Harden step back a few times. That one rung true for a second. Now the pass outside, Macy Mullins. Passes to Kaysen. Options for the Hornets with 8 on the shot clock. Gotta run. Mullins wants a screen, wants something. Trying to go over the top to Littlejohn, no can do. Harden swiped. Mullins playing tight defense. The Hornets want a trap. They do it brilliantly. Just a chance to get it down low, and the disruption's there.
Excellent transition defense that time. You saw the swipe at half court. That's where that defensive possession started, right? It was just kind of tough for Harden to get out of that the entire way down the court.
Almost felt like a goal line stand, the way that Lynchburg was able to get back. Now Mullins searching for options. A brilliant pass to Kaysen, off the mark. How many times have we seen shots like that rattle out for Lynchburg today, as Crenshaw Patterson is left of the rim. She'll go to the line for 2.
And for the Hornets here, you're kind of caught in the crosshairs, right? You want to play it fast, be able to break that zone and get good looks, but at the same time, with only 8:30 here, you got to start thinking about maybe slowing some of these possession downs and limiting how many times the Wildcats touch the ball, getting into the late stages of this game.
This is where those offensive boards are going to come into factor. 100%. How many can Randolph get? And, Kevin, that's such a great point, because for Coach Nichols right now, this is a team that has played its best when they are off and running in this contest. We saw it from the jump ball. But how much does Lynchburg capitalize on when they're in that style? Can they get points out of the half court? Only time will tell. as Bree Spainhour has Crenshaw Patterson on the hip. Still looking to go down quickly. Kaysen was open. Great pass to Vandergrift and misses the gimme. Wildcats trying to reinsert. Audra Petty travels. Frustration on Lynchburg's bench. And it feels like that's just one of those plays where you literally want to just stop in your tracks, and instead Randolph's taken off the other way.
Wildcats coach calling for a little bit of urgency here, wants a little bit faster pace, and I think that's going to be more evident as the time continues to wind down. They've got a big hill to climb, but definitely not out of this thing by no means.
Well, and then you force the Hornets to have to operate in a press break scenario. We've seen Lynchburg break it and crack it in every which way so far, but still a lot of equations that they will have to solve down the stretch. Randolph, a team that's 10-3 at home this season, 1-9 in road games or neutral affairs, trying to avoid going into double figures in that loss column. Although it's just a 10-minute drive, Stark misses the three. Still searching for her first from beyond the perimeter. 0 for 5 in this contest as Littlejohn almost ran out of options. Collision, and we're heading the other way. Crenshaw Patterson at the hardwood, and Petty is trying to figure out what the call is. It will be against number 23. The freshman frustrated with a few calls in the last couple of minutes.
And for Lynchburg, you know, you get late into these games, 7.5 left. That's what you have to limit, right? Those type of, you know, kind of boneheaded mistakes whenever you've got the ball, your half of the court, just slow it down, find a set. You know, even if you don't capitalize on it, if you waste a good 20, 25 seconds of the shot clock, you know, that's 20 or 25 seconds that Randolph doesn't have the ball in their possession to cut into this lead.
Got to be so cautious knowing that this Randolph team has shot so poorly today. It takes only a couple drops in the bucket to change it. Kylie Stark needs one here. Did she get fouled? It doesn't matter. Mid-range connects for 2. It's just an 8-point ball game. Hornets trying to figure out how far they are from the finish line, but it's still a distance race. Outside to Littlejohn, she traveled. Couldn't keep her feet cemented into the ground.
Evan, I got a feeling we might be tuned into a classic here in the last 7.
Always in Turner Gymnasium this season, it doesn't really matter how big that lead gets. It feels like one way or another, it turns into an instant thriller. The question is, which team will come out victorious as Spainhour met Crenshaw Patterson at the summit. She's heading to the line again. Almost everything going Randolph's way in the last couple of minutes, and they still haven't had that truly emphatic run. The senior knocks home the first. Trying to get back to the ODAC tournament. They lost to WNL last year at the Salem Civic Center. This time it'll be host sites for that first quarterfinal round. Spainhour secures the rebound and grinds all over. Whistle finally blown.
Spainhour was getting fouled from the time that the shot was released. The Wildcats are a little upset by that foul call, but I think it was a little late.
Well, it really looked like she secured it with almost one arm. Here comes Littlejohn. Lynchburg is yet to find a bucket in the fourth quarter. Is this the one that'll knock it in? No good. Off Littlejohn's hand, and Randolph repossesses down 7.
And again, I'm not going to call that a bad look or anything, but it's just one of those possessions where you feel like maybe it was a little bit rushed. You know, the momentum's definitely swung inside of Turner. You just kind of got to slow it down, maybe get it back on your side.
The Hornets desperately just trying to stop the bleeding. It doesn't feel like anything big has happened yet. No big gashes, but little contributions going Randolph's way. Kylie Stark makes it just a 5-point game. Whispers down the hallway, you gotta watch out now. This Lynchburg team still searching, scoreless in the last 4 minutes. And another foul down low on Kleins. Just a second on the Cats here in this fourth quarter. Olivia Harris steps back in, replacing Ashley Vandergrift. We'll see how much of a difference maker she will be as the Hornets are in their inbound set.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting. Maybe not quite the highest attendance inside of Turner, but there's quite a few Wildcat fans here as well. Which team's going to feel that momentum? There is the big three that the Hornets have been looking for.
You don't always alley-oop a question to the players on the court. Audra Petty slammed it home, and Lynchburg gets the rebound. They're looking to capitalize. Spainhour down low, knocks home the layup. Right away, Lynchburg extinguishes the sentence Randolph was writing. Can they take the ink out of the rest of the pen now? Crenshaw Patterson elects to go outside. Jackson, a quick few steps and a beautiful floater. Back of the iron and in. Coach Nichols wanted to travel. It won't matter as there is an 8-point lead on the scoreboard. And we're heading to the break, maybe the final here in Turner Gymnasium. 5:17 to play. Lynchburg leading. Three players in double figures for Lynchburg as we head to the climax of this very tightly contested fourth quarter. Randolph has really had the upper hand in the final frame. Lynchburg was leading comfortably, and all of a sudden the Wildcats may be back on their heels as Lynchburg extended it out to an 8-point lead. Kate Littlejohn leads all scorers with 18 points, 5 of 8 from three-point range. 2 rebounds and 4 assists. Kylie Stark leads Randolph with 16 as we enter the final 5.5 minutes. Truly a full court press here, and Lynchburg's got to get it in. Spainhour in the corner. Surprised Randolph didn't try to trap it. Here's that man defense again. The 2-3 zone is gone. Petty runs into traffic, trying to get it off Kaysen, and very fortunate because that ball was heading all the way down the court.
I think for Lynchburg, one of the biggest things to look at if you're a viewer at home, Kate Littlejohn, you mentioned it, she's 5 for 8 from three-point range, but it seems like every time they've come out of one of these breaks, timeout breaks, halftime breaks, start of the game, she's been the one to hit a big shot for Lynchburg. I think she's going to be someone to keep an eye on as this game winds down.
Definitely a difference maker. A Spainhour denied down low. Simone Brown was all over it. It definitely felt like one of those plays where if you're Kate Littlejohn, you know you're in that role, that point guard position here for Lynchburg. And there's so much that relies on her play up top. And Kevin, we'll keep it right here during this final break. What do you think if you're Kate Littlejohn, not even looking at these 2 games and potentially the ODAC tournament, but going into next year, what is going to be that difference-making factor that number 4 brings to the table?
I think for her just being around, this year she came in and it was kind of just getting acclimated to a new system, new teammates, things like that. But Lynchburg, they're relatively young. A lot of their core will still be here, so there's a lot to build on there, just kind of with the team chemistry, different things to work on, throughout the summer break, coming back into next fall. I think they're just going to grow, each as individuals. It's not just going to be one person, but just understanding how they grow and how they're going to be able to play together into next season. I think you're going to see a Hornet team that's going to be very, very dangerous next year as a lot of their core is returning.
feels like a big junior class contribution from this Lynchburg team, and it was a class that came in and immediately was put to the test. You see some of them out there right now. Bree Spainhour, Brooke Kaysen, two of those staples in the Lynchburg lineup, but same can be said for Randolph. A lot of familiarity that you saw in Coach Lanford's huddle. Players like Kylie Stark and Tanaya Crenshaw-Patterson have time and time again been a difference maker. Can they get Randolph back in this contest? It'll have to be after the mid-range from Olivia Harris. Another great draw up from Coach Nichols. Back to double figures as the Hornets lead by 10. Crenshaw-Patterson out to the corner. Here comes Kylie Stark in isolation. Wants the move. It's out to Kleins in the corner. Front rim and out. Stark somehow rattles away the rebound. Absolutely all over the court for the Wildcats. Trying to get penetration. Just slams the one off the backboard. And it'll stay with the Cats. Stark is animated, Kevin. She wanted a foul going to the hoop.
It's going to be interesting definitely to see how the refs kind of let this play out down low as this game winds out. We've seen both teams be very physical.
Got to get something off Jackson. Clips iron, and Lynchburg escapes. They can take even more time. 4 minutes to play. At the start of the fourth quarter, the Hornets were really dead in their tracks, losing the momentum, and quickly getting points back. 3 of 4. Their last possessions from field goal range. Here's Littlejohn, dominant down low, everything but the bucket. Back and forth we go. 18 turnovers for the Hornets, but they have really possessed well when it's mattered. Trying to play fluently for the remainder of this contest. Here's Jackson, another quick step off the mark. Brown gets the rebound. Here's Crenshaw-Patterson, three-pointer no good. Nothing falling for Randolph.
The looks are there, right? Every chance to capitalize, cut into this Hornet lead, just not being able to get these shots to fall. That's the difference maker here in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Pass into space, won't find anybody. You mentioned it, Randolph is getting quality looks. They're getting offensive boards, still not able to stick the landing. But 2:57 to play. Across the timeline, Wildcats need a little bit of pace with the clock dying down. Kylie Stark defended by Kaysen and now Littlejohn. Everybody's testing her. Mid-range, no good. Spainhour corrals. And the Hornets, once again, another defensive stand. Just 16 combined points in this fourth quarter. Back and forth we go. Littlejohn connects with Petty. Off the mark, but Kaysen gets the offensive board, a fresh 20. Olivia Harris, shifty, trying to get to the hoop. Connection to the corner. Kaysen sneaks it in.
Big time bucket, and that was a second chance opportunity. We talked about it coming into the fourth. That was going to be the key for either team to win this game. Who was going to win that battle? That one was big.
It felt huge, and Randolph, a quick possession on their end. Lynchburg creeping away. Up 13 with 1:51 to play. The 2-game losing streak they have versus Randolph right now, the longest in series history. The Hornets can put a stop to it and hope to send things the other direction in just this 10-minute battle down the street. This time on Lakeside Drive, Lynchburg has the upper hand. Pass to Kaysen in the corner. Hornets just wasting the clock. Chris passes, Kaysen's open, looking to slam the door shut. Brooke Kaysen, three-pointer number 15 for the Hornets. And another defensive stop.
That last Hornet offensive possession was beautiful, though. You saw Casey, she had to look in the corner. It was early in the shot clock. She thought better of it, wasted a little bit more time, and she got rewarded. Another open look up on the wing, and she was able to knock it down. Now you're going to see the Hornets run in transition.
And they can use every ounce of the clock now. Firmly in the driver's seat, and a very impressive display in this fourth quarter. A Hornets team that struggled out of the gates. They had won the first 30 minutes cleanly, calmly, and comfortably. And another three-pointer, Kaysen sealing the ticket. The Hornets trying to keep their ODAC tournament aspirations alive. They have fought valiantly in this contest, doing everything they can just to have another breath. This three-pointer off the mark, and Spainhour has it. Everybody is shooting the three ball with confidence today in Turner Gymnasium. And Lynchburg gonna get a big-time win at the nth hour. Personal against the Cats, and Olivia Harris, the victim on the other side. Shot clock off. Kevin, what a final few minutes. Lynchburg just dominating, and they have felt like every shot they're getting is going in.
Yeah, this was down to single digits, and it was really either team's ball game. And Lynchburg, they came out of one of the timeout breaks, the immediate timeout, and just decided, you know what, enough. And they had put the final stamp on it and keep their playoff hopes alive, at least for an extra few days.
The war of attrition rages on. The Lynchburg crowd is on their feet. That is the Lynchburg team on Lakeside Drive. They get it done 76-57. A dominant three-point shooting display all around, and it just felt like the Hornets were feeling so comfortable and so poised down the stretch. Kevin, what do you think the difference maker was if we take the three-point out of the equation?
Really, I think a so underrated aspect of this game was the Hornet passing, the vision. You saw Olivia Harris with a couple of flashy dimes, but overall, just being able to find the open shooter, the open cutter, that's really what made the difference on a lot of those crucial possessions. When you saw Randolph had Lynchburg in trouble quite a bit in this game, but Lynchburg able to find the open player, and they were knocking down those shots.
A lot of happiness going into that locker room, and as we've touched on, the question mark still remains, will this Hornets team get to the ODAC tournament? But like you said, execution top to bottom was certainly on point. It's a program record for three-point field goals made. I believe 15 was the mark to beat against Guilford. They shot 16 today. We'll have to double check to make sure those updated stats are true, but nonetheless, doesn't take away from what the Hornets did today, and that was fight. They needed it, they needed the energy, and out of the gates, it felt like a game that this team knew they needed.
100%. And we talked about it, last week, mentioning how short the season was, but that was the crucial part of the season. How were these teams going to play with their playoff hopes on the line? And I think Lynchburg, just being able to come out here and fight and explode the way that they did, it really shows a lot about this team. And, say they don't make the postseason this year, this is a lot to build on for next season with, as I mentioned, them getting a lot of their core back.
So much to pay attention to, and on Saturday, while Lynchburg will play Mary Washington, all eyes will be on the big one, Randolph versus Virginia Wesleyan. That one going down in Virginia Beach, the contest that will ultimately determine Lynchburg's fate. But for now, they can enjoy the night of sleep, knowing it was a strong performance, both from beyond the perimeter and right around the rim. As we will conclude today's broadcast, a big thanks to everybody who was involved scoring up and down on the court. 4 Hornets in double figures, and we're having a lot of fun with the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. A big thanks to our director, Micah Adams. He is Kevin Nestor, and I'm Evan Gates, saying so long from the Hill City.